Welcome back to another episode of The Customer Lens, where we're sitting down taking a look at websites from independent insurance agencies from all across the country and asking the question, what does this look like? How does it feel? What's my experience through the customer lens? Today, Sean Mulhern and myself sit down, we evaluate Secured Insurance, which is located in the Pacific Northwest, and we ask the question, if I'm a customer or a prospect, what is my impression? What do I need to do if I want to get something done on the website? Have a look. Here we go. I hope I'm saying this right. Secured?
That's how I'd say it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, first impressions. They're telling you what they do right at the front. They're kind of telling you what you sort of want to do. Hey, I want an auto quote. I want a home quote. I want a condo quote.
Yeah.
They're putting the quotes. They're looking to drive the quotes right here.
Yeah, this is optimized for new business. So, not that they're not they don't put an emphasis on service or the customer experience from that side of it. They likely do, but they are very intentional on get a quote. Instant auto quote, instant home quote, instant condo quote, instant renter's quote. So they're personal lines heavy, or focused, I should say. And everything is optimized with this call to action, these call to actions to get a quote. So I don't know, should we put it through the ringer and see what the quoting experience looks like?
Yeah, let's jump into quoting first.
Let's just go get a quote. All right, first click, it's a form. All right. What kind of quote do we want today? Let's do auto insurance. Are you a current? No. Oh, but this is a good question. Should we say yes or no? What do you think, Sean?
I think let's go no right now.
Okay. So right off the bat here, before we move on to the next screen, we can see that they have contact information here. We can talk about whether or not that is the wisest thing to do, or what do we want them to do? Do we want them to contact the agency, or do we want them to go through the form? I know common responses might be, well, I want them to feel like they have an option to call the agency if they get confused.
You also see the start your instant quote down the right side as well. Are we already doing that? Maybe. There's some pet insurance quoting right here as well. So we're kind of mixing and matching and what we're doing. It's because they're using some different tools. That's fine.
Yeah.
Name and email. Maybe we put a test in. I'm kind of curious where this actually goes to.
So they know it's not real. AOL.com. And let's do 777-555-1212. All right. Preferred method of contact. Look at this. I like the wording here. Most accurate quote option.
Yeah, there we go.
That's actually pretty smart. Actually, if you guys are watching this as a court, I might actually steal that. That's actually really sharp.
You want to get on the phone. That's the best way to sell.
All right.
The client maybe put some information in. The last one would be
my 2025 Tesla Cybertruck.
There you go.
All right.
Would you like to provide some additional details? Sure. Let's see.
Yeah, kind of trying to evaluate this. If I'm a prospect, do I hate this? Do I like it? What are my thoughts here? I mean, there's a lot of
you can at least input some of the information. I'm here. I need a quote. I'm getting more information. Oftentimes we don't find the ability to even put other information in. So I think it's nice that you can do this. However, as we go through this, what I'm curious on, if we scroll to the bottom, because I'm assuming we're just kind of about done yet, we're at the submission form where we'd submit this. What if I needed an auto and a home quote? Now I need to do something different. Now, let's assume we submitted this, and now what we'll have to do is click the get a quote button again to go through the home quote. So my hunch is if we do that, we're now going to double data enter, aren't we? We're going to put our name, our phone number in, and these details again, and we're going to now create two submissions for the policyholder or potential policyholder. So it's more friction, more work. Although you are collecting more information, that's better. We'd have to go through each of the quote options to see just how much information comes in. But now we're landing this with the agency with two form submissions as opposed to potentially one. So now there's two things they're going to have to make sure that they curate and pull together.
Yeah.
So they've at least got, the quick analysis better than most.
I was going to say, this is actually an improvement from what we see from just the regular status quo, which when we say status quo, that doesn't mean that's good. The status quo is probably really, really bad from our experience. But this is better than that status quo.
Yeah. And it's because the client can put something in. But the improvement, again, is I need an auto and a home and an umbrella quote. or I need a home and small commercial.
And to be fair, Sean, that likely does exist somewhere on this website. My guess is they've thought about this. This agency, who I don't know who owns this agency. I don't know, but I bet you this exists somewhere. The issue is not that it doesn't exist. It likely does. The issue is that I, as a first-time website viewer, person experiencing this for the very first time, it's not intuitive and it's not simple enough.
You're not handheld down the process.
Yeah, and that's how you should think about it. Like, you do need to hold my hand. I can't speak for every customer, but me as a customer, I'm an idiot, right? And I'd like to think I'm really smart, but I'm probably a closer representation to the general public than I would like to admit.
I mean, it is insurance. Most people don't know enough about insurance and what they need to do.
Yeah, I mean, and I do know about insurance. And so that's why I bet you the workflow exists, but the general consumer is going to come to this for the very first time. They're going to experience it, and they're going to likely have the same issue.
Yep. Now, I'm curious now on the service motion. What can we do servicing-wise? Because we do know service is...
So look at this, Tom. They got a self-service center.
Okay, let's see it.
Should we take a look at it?
Yeah.
All right. All right. I believe... I don't want to misrepresent who this might be. Do you recognize who this might be, Sean?
Don't.
Maybe it's something. Let's request an auto or home change. Where does this go?
Do a basic form.
Basic form.
Okay, I need to do something. Essentially, you put your name, email in, your insurance company name. That looks like a required field to me. That to me is problematic. I bought from Secord Insurance. I don't know who I've got. So most people, there is a lot of confusion a lot of times. I've got my auto with Progressive, but I thought, I was with Secord. Actually, you had Progressive 2 years ago. We moved you over to Safeco. So that's a tough one. Clients don't typically understand this, but the bigger problem with this is there's information that you need to complete this request. When it's something related to an auto, are you adding? Are you removing? Are you replacing? Are you adding a driver? Maybe select, is this changed to auto home? Let me select auto. Let's just see, maybe the form populates. I would like to.
Here we go.
Okay, so now we're getting some options. Still though, based on that next option, you need to find out additional details. And please, you've got a box here to provide the additional details, but it's highly unlikely that the client is going to go, here's the year, make, model, and VIN. Here's the driver. Here's the car I'm replacing. Here's the coverage levels I want. I actually would like to see a $500 and $1,000 deductible because I'm not sure. Just bought the car. So there's still a gap in what the client would need to fill in. This is not a completed, from the client side of things, request. They are going to have to get with the agency, and it will be manual. And
there's two things that stuck out to me that are a little bit different than even what you said. Is not that it happens often, but there's a potential here. My skeptical brain goes, what happens when the jilted ex-lover wants to mess up someone's life, and they can go on here and they can make these changes? There's nothing that makes this proprietary to the named insured that I can see. Now, there's probably some follow-up, likely. Yeah. We get that. However, on the front end, there's nothing that says this is routed. We know as an agency that this came from this user, the named insured. And that is, I would think, should give somebody some pause or some hesitation. Yep. And really what it does is it does force the extra step. You now do have to have the extra step of verifying, getting signatures, validating, depending on the laws of your state, whatever it is that you need to do anyways, but it's not easy, it's not accessible. The other thing too is, let's say, I'm making a change here where I want to change the address. I moved. Well, I have any things here. One is, again, going back to the original point, there's nothing for both, right? Now, as an agent, as a CSR, I probably am aware they're changing their address here, they're changing their address there, but again, additional steps, more friction, more time spent on these things and less margin for time. The other aspect of this is what happens when there's a change here and it does need to prompt some other service or some other line of business. Maybe I'm maybe I need to add life insurance, or maybe I need to, this change has like really results in, we need to have this, we need to surface this next step up for you, which is kind of a missed opportunity of sorts for the agency on the sales side that's already operating as an agency for sales.
Yeah. The other thing I see on this too is, I think a lot of clients are going to come here. They're going to know they need to get more information to you. They're going to intuitively know that this form is not going to be complete and you're going to have to wait. And if it's me, I've allotted 10 minutes right now to get this interaction done. I'm probably picking up the phone because I'm like, look, I'm just going to go call and get it done. Like, because, you don't want to have to fill out the form and now it's still in your head. You got to think about, are they getting it? Are they going to reach back out to me? Am I going to be available when they reach back out to me? I'm just going to call. I'm going to try to get this done right away.
Yeah.
I think if we were going to look at the contact us one more time, I'm always curious about the bill pay. This is such low-hanging fruit to make life a little bit easier for the policyholders. So I think what you did to find it, actually, that's an interesting call out, is when you hit contact us, you now don't see the options. This is straight up just a contact us, as opposed to service center. That was what we clicked, the self-service center under contact us.
Yeah.
So it's a little hidden. You're definitely hiding this self-service. So let's make a payment.
Oh,
these are my favorite, Nick. You know it. This is my absolute favorite. This is the biggest reframe and oftentimes the biggest aha moment when I talk to a client, an agency client, is we think we're doing something helpful for the customer right here. We think we're putting the carriers here. We're giving them the links. Maybe these links are directly to the bill pay portal within a carrier. Oftentimes they're going to a home page. But the key problem here, or I'll say two problems, maybe three. One, you routing someone to the carrier is removing your brand from this. You become a ghost in the process. Who knows what they were doing? Maybe they were paying a bill, or maybe they bought a motorcycle and they need to add that. So these carriers, not their fault. It's not like they're trying to cross-sell the business, but it's naturally going to happen. And you just pointed them over there. Two, let's use Progressive as the example. Click Progressive. So when we come here, we land on Progressive's login page. By and large, independent agencies are not telling their clients to go set up client accounts with the carriers, because the advantage of an independent is I'm going to move your policies around, and when you think insurance, I want you thinking of my agency. That's how we make our money. We keep you here. We support your policies. We're going to move you around, and you're not going to want a phone full of different carrier apps through the next 3 and 5 years with our agency. So client lands here. They're going to go click that make a payment button or register. But if I'm here to make a payment, let's just click make a payment. And the first thing you see, this is not a knock on Progressive. This is 99% of carriers, is the first question is, what's your policy number? I don't know it. So what I'm doing now is I've been removed from the agency's website. The only way you're going to get back to it now is by pushing back. It should have at least opened in a new tab so you could click the other tab, but now we have to go back to the agency site and we have to go call them just to make a payment. And something key to note, they've told us when we're allowed to call them. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 9 to 5. Now I'm frustrated. I got to get this bill paid. I need to get my auto ID card. I need to get something. These carrier workflows are not efficient. The carrier systems themselves have, by and large, most of them have great functionality to pay a bill and get your documents from these carrier workflows. The problem is that the policyholder, one, doesn't even know they have Progressive. They bought from Secord Insurance. Two, they don't remember their policy number, so you're creating an inherent request back. And three, tongue-in-cheek here, but agencies only work 30% of the time. Monday through Friday, that's 30% of a day, only 5 of the 7 days a week. It's 20 days a month for 30% of the day. Policyholders do have jobs and lives, and they do need to service and get access to things 24/7.
Yeah.
That's a big one to me right there. And we could click on any carrier, but they're all kind of the same.
Yeah, point. I think this is all, you talk about low-hanging fruit, this is low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. This is a very easy way to make, if you have a different, obviously where we would go with this is how can we improve it? And it's simple. The story's the same. Let's remove the options that we put in front of our clients and say, hey, good luck. Figure out which one of these buttons to click at the right time Because a client might need to pay a bill and get a quote. And now you've bounced them to Progressive site. They've left your site and they got to remember to get back to your site to click a quote. On this specific one, we were like, oh, it's an auto and a home. They got to fill out the form twice. There's friction here. It's not as easy as it could be.
Yeah.
What we would say to do is we remove these options. We bring a client into a single unified platform, a client portal. And when the client gets in there, they can have their hand held, write down where they need to go. They can select all the types of quotes they need policies on, or policies they need quotes on. They can fill out all the information for the intake form so that they're done. If they need to pay a bill, we know who their carrier's with. We can route them right to the spot with the carrier with their policy number so they can complete that request. And the best, beautiful part about that is when they complete the request, they're still in your store to request more service, request more quotes. And they've done it quickly, efficiently, 24/7, and it'll reduce the agency service load by 35%, within the first year. It just makes a huge impact on the agency and a huge impact on their client experience.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think this website is doing a lot of really good things. I think the agency is doing a lot of really good things. They seem to have some momentum, as I would say, from a sales side. So I think there's just a few things that they could think about differently from their customer experience side that would only just, small changes, big doors hang on small hinges. Small tweaks that they can make that could really maybe move the needle for them. And if there are other agents watching this, how they should probably think about it as well.
I'm going to throw one last thing out there. Now that we've gone through some of the forms, these quote buttons in red, they say instant. I don't know. Is that true, Nick?
No, it's probably not true.
I didn't see any instant option.
No. That's tongue in cheek. That's to help.
It doesn't really exist in the industry by and large.
You and I know that. We're hoping prospects don't know it as much either.
But here's what's great: if you do drop into Secord, you can jump over to Pudge Brothers Pizza. Get a slice. While they're working up your quotes. So that's at least nice.
Awesome.